TLC's Chilli does damage control after donating to Trump. TLC's Chilli is in full damage control today. That after FEC records reveal she donated to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, not once, but 17 times. Chilli. That's not all. She also reposted a debunked conspiracy about Michelle Obama being transgender. And now she's saying it was all by accident. It's just a mistake. It's probably best on this one to let Chilli speak for herself.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here to address a few things that's circulating on the internet that's very concerning to me. Let me say this first. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Michelle Obama, and I would never say or do anything that is disrespectful to her or to any woman. I would never do that. And I had no clue that this repost had happened until I started getting phone calls and text messages from everybody, and I immediately went to my page to see what was going on. Now, mind you, I'm not very computer savvy, so I'm looking for this repost button, and I see that all of these buttons are very, very close to each other. And clearly I was scrolling and my thumb hit the repost button. Again, I had no clue that something like this happened until I got all the calls. But of course, I took that down, and, I would never post anything like that. I would never do something like that. That is not my character. I have supported the Obamas. I gave to the campaign, both runs, voted twice for him. And when it comes to organizations that I have donated to, these are the things that support the veterans. I have always supported them, not just now, but for years. This is not something new. So I just wanted to let you guys know, this from me, that I would never do anything so disrespectful, and I would just never, I'm just not about hate or anything like that.
That was lengthy. It is what her ex-usher would call a hell of a confession. Okay. However, it's just not adding up for people. And she might want to go to her bank and dispute some charges. 17 times. It was accident. Whatever happened to the young woman with the condom over her eye and the baggy clothes who we fell in love with? Is she in there anywhere? Here's what she posted on Instagram. I want to be clear. I am not MAGA and do not support any of the many policies that are causing great harm to the American people. I made a mistake too many made. I did not read the fine print. I thought I was supporting causes against human trafficking and for veterans. Two things I care deeply about, as my dad is a veteran and everyone knows I love children. I have learned a valuable lesson and ask for grace as I navigate this. What's the lesson? Something about the retweet button and not being savvy and knowing what she was clicking. What is the lesson, Chilli? What's T-Boz up to today? I know she is. She says she didn't read the fine print. She thought she was donating to causes against human trafficking and veterans, but here's why the records may tell a different story. FEC records showing that Rozanda Thomas of Stone Mountain, Georgia, Chilli's legal name and residence, made 17 total donations to MAGA-affiliated entities during the 2024 election cycle. Those donations totaled nearly $900. They range from $3.50 to $180. Recipients included Win Red, Never Surrender, Inc., Trump National Committee, JFC, Inc., the National Republican Senatorial Committee, $63, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz. What on earth are you doing, Chilli? And by the way, I think you can do whatever you wish. It's your money, one person, one vote. freedom of speech, whatever the Supreme Court, old and new, has certified. She has a right to her beliefs and her political affiliations. But why moonwalk it back? Here's why the I didn't know defense doesn't hold up. She donated, as we said, 17 times, not once, not twice, 17 separate transactions to Republican and Trump affiliated entities. That is not a thumb slip, it's a pattern. She follows several conservative politicians and influencers on social media, including Donald Trump Jr. and Tommy Lauren, as well as conservative news networks like Newsmax. These are not charities. WinRed is the Republican Party's official online fundraising platform. Never Surrender Inc., Trump Merchandise Operation, Trump National Committee, JFC, is a joint fundraising committee for Trump's campaign. There is no ambiguity here about what these entities are, who they help, who they support. So the forever First Lady, who Chilli retweeted this nonsense, Michelle Obama. March 12th, Chilli reposted a debunked conspiracy theory on her Instagram story claiming former First Lady Michelle Obama is transgender, with distorted images portraying the mother of two as a man. The post stayed on her page for over 24 hours before it was taken down, and Chilli didn't say anything about it at the time. How is she getting herself into all of these things where she's just things keep happening to her? It's an accident. Come on, girl. For Chilli's fans, the frustration only deepened because in 2024, she was knee deep in another online dust up about complexion and identity. Grammy winner corrected her boyfriend and a fan when they described her as chocolate, explaining instead that she considers herself caramel. Sounded like a simple clarification, quickly became a heated conversation about colorism, with critics accusing her of distancing herself from darker skin tones, noting she welcomed comparison to mixed race beauty Karrueche Tran, but objected to being likened to Jermaine Dupri's dark-skinned daughter. Fan reaction, brutal. People are just not having it, not hearing it. Just watch this.
Rozanda Chilli Thomas, you think we're stupid, but man, we looked up everything you did, and it's public record. You want to explain why, if you don't follow right-wing propaganda, you're following Byron Donalds? Byron Donalds, who is running for governor in Florida, Byron Donalds, who is a Trump crony. Why would you be following Byron Donalds if you don't support right-wing propaganda, ma'am? You donated $900 to Donald Trump's affiliated campaigns. You're the problem. And Cheryl James, you might want to shut the up, because you're over here going up for her and saying that people are believing lies. No, we're believing what we looked up on federal government websites where she donated money. We're believing what she posted on her page.
Of course, this is fresh off the announcement that TLC, Salt and Pepper, and Vogue are going on tour this fall. And people are like, yeah, no, we ain't buying these tickets. I don't even know if the pre-sales already happened at this point. I know many folks are wondering, what about T-Boz? Was she aligned? She stated publicly that she is anti-MAGA and she does not approve of Chilli's political views. She's a heavy advocate for protecting the Affordable Care Act because she is someone that lives with sickle cell. And the big, beautiful bill would have affected many of people who have chronic illnesses. She also clarified in an interview when she said, God is my president. And she said, just because you're in a group with somebody does not mean you think the same. All I know is that if left I were alive, there would not be no TLC revival. She would have sued the both of them, or at least Chilli, when it comes to the copyright of their name.
Yeah. It's I don't know who wrote her that PR statement that my belief is it was written and she's just delivering it, but there we go. People aren't buying it. One fan wrote, man, going from a strong feminist icon in the 90s to a Trump voter in the 2020s is a crazy work. Y'all keep ripping my heart out every day. We looked up to y'all. Another posted, how very sad. I guess she really wants to be a maggot. Turns out she was the biggest scrub of them all. Some fans even dragged her boyfriend, Boy Meets World actor Matthew Lawrence, into it, posting, got with a white man, started thinking white man thoughts. The timing could not be worse, as we mentioned there. TLC just announced a major co-headlining tour with Salt and Pepper and Vogue. the It's Iconic North American tour starting August 15th. And now fans are threatening, sit this one out. Better ask Brian McKnight what happens when the fans get ticked. They have everything else to do except buy tickets and go see you in concert. One fan wrote, "Oh, wow, Chilli, no. I was just about ready to order tickets for Salt and Pepper TLC show. I can't support now." Fans also urged T-Boz to distance herself, posting, "T-Boz, jump off this ship, girl." T-Boz has previously addressed, as you saw, the backlash about proximity to MAGA supporters. 2017 interview with Vice. She said it. "Some of my friends voted for him. I can't understand it. It also didn't help because of what my group member said right before me about all lives matter. I got blamed for that too." We got you, T-Boz. And we know that this is not who you are. I don't know what T-Boz can do, or who they could replace if it comes to that, the TLC portion of this tour that a lot of people are looking forward to, Jackson. And I think we have to be clear. I think to look like Chilli and say the things she's saying, including about former First Lady Michelle Obama, makes her a bit tragic to me. But she has every right to believe what she wants, to use her money to support what I can tell you, if I escape bankruptcy, this is not what I'd be spending my $3.50 on. But if that's what she wants to do, then that's her right. That's not what I think people are complaining about. It's the shock value of it, number one. And then number two, what people are deeming to be the less than truthful response now that she got, quote unquote, caught 17 times. What say you?
Well, first I gotta say, if there was ever any saving grace, it was over when you saw she donated to Ted Cruz, because you don't accidentally donate to Ted Cruz without being lost in the sauce for real. And to what she said, like her response about the things that she thought she was donating to are like the most Republican causes in the world, even though, when they're in office, they don't actually fulfill it. But in terms of Republican voters, particularly ones who were caught up with Donald Trump, the children and QAnon, that was a big part of it. So, I think it's pretty clear what happened. But also, I mean, that just goes to show so much of how toxic Donald Trump's brand really is, that like you gotta just completely run away from it, do all this PR cleanup, try to make amends with the public because he's really that disliked. And, I think more broadly, pretty much everybody, or if not most people who attached their identities and their brand to Donald Trump over the last 10 years of this, last political era that we're still going through. I mean, when the ship sinks, like their credibility's forever tarnished. Like so many people's careers and just relevance is gonna go underwater along with Donald Trump whenever that day does come.
Yeah. It's this is a tough one. And I guess what I would ask you is, when we look at, and the Brian McKnight situation was completely different, but I believe you and I covered it maybe even a couple times, where he's denouncing kids from his first marriage, and there's a lot of bad blood there, and just saying some really horrific things that people couldn't wrap their heads around, and said, even though the love songs were great, the love is dead, and we're just not going to support you. Does this thing pick up steam? Does this thing shut her all the way down, or do you see a path forward here?
I mean, I think stuff like that's kind of always played out day by day, depending on who the person is. I think this certainly could damage people who maybe were her diehard fans, who are principled about certain things, but at the same time, Americans have a short attention span and there's so much to pay attention to. So you'll just see. But I think in general, accountability, even if it's not about stuff like this, at least taking some form of accountability, people can respect that,
Hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I do think you're right that respect goes a long way, and it's earned. And the only way you can earn it is if you just be bold, be proud to look. For people who think Donald Trump is a fool, I'm among those. But there is another camp who said initially, we liked him because he just said what other people wouldn't say. Now, he was lying, But if we just don't get to the lying part, there's a lot of people who said, we like it because he's not a politician. He's just going for it. I feel the same way about this entertainer. Who are you? Now we don't know who you are. Maybe you are. What did they call her? A scrub? The one comment. I'm not about the name calling much on a Monday. Okay. I don't mind it actually.